Are you sure the things you do with your cat every single day are actually building trust and not quietly breaking it? Most people would probably say yes. Of course they are. You feed your cat, pet them, talk to them, make room for them in your home, and try to show love in all the ways that seem natural. And that is exactly what makes this so dangerous. Because the behaviors that damage trust with a cat rarely look harmful. They look normal, they look affectionate, they even look loving. That is why so many owners never realize what is happening until the bond starts to change. The cat sleeps farther away, flinches more often, hides a little longer, stops coming over as much, and because none of it happens all at once, it is easy to miss. But here is the truth. Cats do not lose trust in one dramatic moment most of the time. They lose it through repetition, through small experiences that teach them again and again that being close to you is not always safe, not always predictable, and not always understood. And the hardest part is this: you can deeply love your cat and still be doing things that make them feel unheard. Not because you are careless, not because you are cruel, but because cats are speaking a language most people were never taught to notice. In this video, we are going to break down 6 common mistakes that quietly make cats lose trust in their owners, why they matter far more than most people think, and why the last one may be the most damaging of all. Because once a cat starts feeling that their signals do not matter, something begins to collapse underneath the relationship. And if you want real trust from a cat, love alone is not enough. They have to feel listened to too. 1. Waking them up just to get a moment of affection. It feels harmless, maybe even sweet. Your cat is asleep on the couch, curled up in a perfect little shape, looking impossibly soft and peaceful. So you reach over, you pet them. Maybe you pick them up for a second. Maybe you kiss the top of their head and think, they know I love them. But your cat may be learning something very different. To a cat, sleep is not just rest. It is recovery. It is the time their body resets, their nervous system settles, and their guard finally comes down. When they choose to sleep near you, that is already an act of trust. They are placing themselves in a vulnerable state in your presence. And when that state keeps getting interrupted, something changes. Not dramatically, not all at once, but slowly. Your cat begins to associate resting near you with being disturbed. That spot beside you on the couch no longer feels fully safe. The bed near your feet becomes less appealing. Instead, they start choosing quieter corners, higher shelves, other rooms. Not because they love you less, but because their body learned that deep rest near you comes with a cost. And that is the part most owners never realize. You are not damaging trust by loving your cat. You are damaging it by interrupting the one state where they trusted you enough to fully let go. So if your cat is sleeping, let them sleep. Because one of the clearest ways to tell a cat, you are safe with me, is to leave their peace untouched. 2. Skipping the litter box even for a single day. To you, missing one cleaning might feel small. Life gets busy. You tell yourself you will do it later, tomorrow at the latest. But to your cat, that box is not just a bathroom. It is one of the most important places in their world. Because the litter box is where your cat is at their most vulnerable. They cannot defend themselves the same way there. They cannot leave instantly. They rely on that space feeling clean, predictable, and safe every single time they use it. So when it is dirty, something changes immediately. Not just physically, emotionally. Your cat starts to feel tension around a place that is supposed to feel controlled. And in the feline world, loss of control means stress. That is why litter box issues are never just about mess. They are about trust in the environment. And because you control that environment, your cat connects the condition of that space to you. If the box feels neglected, the message your cat receives is not, my human was busy. The message is, my needs were missed. And that matters more than people realize. Because once stress builds around the litter box, it does not always stay there. It spills outward, into the room, into behavior, into the way your cat feels in the home as a whole. So cleaning the litter box is not just hygiene. It is reassurance. It tells your cat, I am paying attention. Your world is safe. You can rely on me. And for a cat, that kind of consistency is one of the foundations of trust. 3. Using your hands as toys during playtime. It feels harmless at first. Your cat is small, playful, full of energy. You wiggle your fingers, they pounce, they grab your hand, maybe give a tiny bite, and you laugh it off. It feels like bonding. But what your cat is learning in that moment is something very different. To a cat, play is practice. It is not just fun, it is rehearsal for hunting. And when your hands become part of that game, your cat's brain starts to categorize them in a very specific way. Esprit. Every time your fingers move and your cat chases them, the association gets stronger. Movement triggers instinct. Instinct leads to pounce. Pounce leads to bite. And because it was allowed, even encouraged, that pattern becomes normal. So later, when you reach out to pet them, your cat is not always seeing a gentle gesture. They are seeing a target they have practiced on before. And when the bite comes, it feels sudden. But it is not. It is learned. And here is where trust begins to break down. Because your hands are also supposed to be something else. Safety, comfort, connection, calm interaction. But now they are both. And that confusion forces your cat to stay slightly more alert around you, even during moments that should feel relaxed. The fix is simple, but it matters. Keep your hands out of play. Use toys that create distance. Let your cat direct their instincts towards something that is not you, because the clearer the boundary becomes, the safer your presence feels. 4. Changing their environment too suddenly. Have you ever moved furniture, rearranged a room, or brought something new into the house and noticed your cat acting different afterward? Maybe they hide more, move more cautiously, seem restless for a few days. It can look like overreacting, but to your cat, something much bigger just happened. Because cats do not see your home the way you do. You see objects, they see a map. Every piece of furniture, every corner, every pathway is part of a mental layout they rely on. They know where they can escape, where they can hide, where they feel safest. That map is what allows them to relax in the first place. And when you suddenly change it, that entire system breaks. Overnight, the world they understood no longer exists the same way. And now, they have to rebuild it. While feeling uncertain at the same time, that is why sudden changes create stress, even if nothing dangerous actually happened. Because unpredictability is what cats are wired to avoid. And here is where trust is affected. When the environment shifts too quickly, your cat does not just feel unsure about the space. They feel unsure about you, because you are the one controlling that space. So the key is not to avoid change completely. It is to slow it down, move things gradually. Let your cat explore at their own pace. Give them time to investigate new objects before expecting them to accept it. Because when your cat feels like they have time to understand what changed, they do not just adapt better, they stay secure. And that security is what keeps trust intact. 5. Rushing your cat into new people or new situations. It often comes from a good place. You bring a friend over, a new partner, maybe even another pet, and you want everything to go smoothly. So you try to help. You pick your cat up, you bring them closer, you encourage interaction, you think you are speeding up the process. But to your cat, something very different is happening. Cats do not automatically trust new presences. Every unfamiliar person, smell, or movement is first processed as a potential threat. That is how their brain is wired. Not to reject, but to evaluate. And that evaluation takes time. When you skip that process, when you force closeness before your cat is ready, you remove their ability to choose. And choice is everything to a cat. Without it, they do not feel safe. So instead of learning, this new person is okay, your cat learns something else. My space is not respected. My signals do not matter. I cannot control what happens to me. And that is where trust starts to crack, because you are the one they rely on to protect that sense of control. The better approach is slower, but far more powerful. Let your cat observe from a distance. Let them approach on their own terms. Let them decide when interaction happens. It might take hours, sometimes days. But when your cat chooses to come closer, that trust is real, not forced, not fragile, and most importantly, not something that needs to be repaired later. 6. Ignoring the warning signs your cat is giving you. This is the most common mistake, and the most damaging one, because it does not look like a mistake at all. You are petting your cat, holding them, interacting the way you always do. Everything seems fine, and then suddenly they pull away, or worse, they bite. It feels like it came out of nowhere, but it did not. Your cat was speaking the entire time. The slight flick at the tip of their tail, the ears turning back just a little, the tension building under your hand, the way their body shifts away, even subtly. These are not random movements. They are signals. Your cat saying, "This is enough. I'm getting uncomfortable. I need space." And when those signals are ignored, something important happens. Your cat learns that the quiet language does not work. So they escalate. From subtle to obvious, from movement to action, from signals to biting. And that is where trust breaks the fastest. Because from your cat's perspective, they communicated clearly, and you did not listen. Over time, this creates something deeper than frustration. It creates hesitation. They become less open, less relaxed, less willing to fully trust moments of closeness. Because they learned that even when they say stop, nothing changes. So, if you want to protect your bond with your cat, start here. Pay attention to the smallest signals. Stop before they need to escalate. Because trust for a cat is not built on how much you touch them. It is built on whether you know when to stop. So if you really want to know what makes a cat lose trust, it is usually not one dramatic mistake. It is repetition. The cuddle that came while they were sleeping. The litter box that stayed dirty one day too long. The hand that became a toy. The room that changed overnight. The introduction they were not ready for. The warning signs they gave. And you missed. None of these moments look huge on their own. That is exactly why they matter so much. Because trust with a cat is not built in big gestures. It is built in patterns. In the small, repeated experiences that teach them what it feels like to live near you. Whether your presence brings safety or uncertainty. Whether their body can relax around you or has to stay slightly guarded. And here is the hardest truth. You can love your cat deeply and still make them feel unheard. Not because you do not care, not because you are doing something cruel, but because cats are constantly communicating in ways that are easy to overlook if you were never taught how to see them. That is why the last mistake matters more than all the others. Because once a cat learns that their signals do not change your behavior, something inside the bond starts to weaken. They stop trying so softly. They stop expecting you to notice, and eventually, the distance you feel is not random. It was learned. So if you want your cat to trust you more, do not start by trying to love them harder. Start by becoming easier for them to trust. Respect their rest. Protect their environment. Slow down. Let them choose. And most of all, listen when they speak in the quiet language they already use every day. Because to a cat, trust is not just about being loved. It is about being understood.